25 students, and PhD 13th students awarded degree. Total research article published is 102 and 3 book published, also 3 edited book published. Number of paper presented is 26. 19 lectures is invited, acted as a research person for refresher courses and national seminar is 19. Madams organized for 4 national level seminars and conference etc. The rest of the introduction we will come to now from his scholarly lecture. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hello. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, madam.
Thank you for very nice introduction. Respected Director
Thank you,
of
ma'am.
the Academic Staff College, Professor Satish Patil, sir, Rafe, sir, and all the delegates, participants for this course. Very, very good morning to all of you. Myself, Dr. Daya Patil, and in the introductory speech given by our participant, I'm a research guide of 3 different universities, and that's why I have chosen the topic as a research, because all of us know what is the national education policy and how the scope of the research have been extended in this policy. An audience of today's session is also a learned academician. That's why the topic has been chosen as the research report writing. In this audience, there are number of participants who have awarded the PhD degree, who have published a number of articles in various learned journals also. There is actually no need to emphasize how to write the report, but as a experience in this profession, I would like to share my views about how to write the report and what precaution should be taken while writing the report, research report. There may be some are the research guides, and they are guiding to the research student. So there is a need to elaborate this topic to our student also. And that's why research report writing is the essential part of the, and that's why we will discuss on this particular subject. In this topic, we will there is an issue of net there, that's why sometimes video gets lost, so sorry for that. In this today's session, we will cover the contents, that is the introduction about the research report and meaning and purpose of the research report. What are the characteristics of the report? What are the functions of report? What are the types of reports? How to plan report writing, developing the outline of the research report. What are the styles of outlining the research report? What is the arrangement of material? And lastly, what is the format of the research report? So we will see one by one how the reports come into existence. How to write research report, how to develop the outline. These are the preliminary stages of the research report writing. Actually, report writing is the last outcome of the research, because we have selected the topics, we have taken the review, we have selected the methodology, you have collected the primary data, you have entered interpreted that primary data, we have drawn the conclusions, and after all, the last step in the research is to write the research report. So we will see one by one what is the research group. This is the introduction part. Actually, I would like to share my screen.
मॅडम हिंदीचा पण वापर करा, हिंदीचा पण वापर करा.
Okay. हा पण ते ह्याच्यात असेल. नेट मेलवर आहे ना. हिंदीचा सर जी रिपोर्ट राइटिंग का जो इशू आप देख रहे हैं उसमें चुन रहे वी आर गोइंग टू पार्टिसिपेट माय शेयर माय पीपीटी आल्सो. जी मेलवर तुला पाठवलं. झालं का शेट? These are the content of your today's lecture. Am I audible, sir? Excuse me. Am I audible?
You are audible.
Yes, madam. Yes,
Oh,
madam.
yes, madam.
Sorry for
audible.
interrupt. Sorry for interrupt. There is an issue of internet. That's why I have been joined through the mobile. So, in introduction of today's lecture, the final step of research study is the report writing. Is it? The research report is meant to communicate our research experience to others by adding them to the fund of knowledge. Because the researcher is going to do his or her research throughout the time being, and the last product or outcome of the research is to give the conclusions and implications of that particular research to the knowledge society or academicians in which he or she is going to work. A research report is a formal statement of research process and its results. The purpose of research report is to convey what was done, why it was done, and what was its outcomes. Means what are the objectives and aims of that particular research, how that research have been done, means what methodology he or she have been adopted, and at last how the outcomes or results, conclusions drawn are applicable or useful to the knowledge society in which he or she is working. Also, the purpose of research is to communicate methodology results of the study undertaken the research process and determine the validity of the conclusions is the main aim of the purpose of a research report. Why research report? To extract your research activity which have been taken through the tenure of that research product, and to give these results to our community is the main purpose of the research. The research report is a formal statement of the research process and its result. It narrates the problem studied, methods used, and the findings and conclusion of the study. Then we will see what are the characteristics of the reports. Research report is a narrative but authoritative document because the efforts have been taken to do the research. It's the product of that particular research. Outcome of the research efforts presents highly specific information. And what are the characteristics of report? Report should be comprehensive. Report should be highly specific information, and report should be the simple, readable, and accurate form of communication, because it's the factual data which you have been collected among the audience or your sample, and that information you are going to put in front of the academician, in front of the audience, in front of the knowledge society. That's why how should be the report that have been incalculated in the characteristics of the report, is it? Then we will see what are the functions of a research report. Why research report? What do a research report do? What are the functions? So research reports serve as a mean of presenting the problem studied, methods and techniques used for collecting the data, analyzing the data, the findings, conclusions, and recommendations in an organized manner. What is the content of report? All these data throughout the research we have been collected from the primary source of information, from the secondary source of information, from the tertiary sources of information, and that we are going to put in front of the society. That's why this is the main function of research report. It serves as a basic reference material for future use in developing research proposals in the same or related area. At this stage, we know why we collect the information from various information sources like primary, secondary, and tertiary. We take the review of related research, and in review, we study the outcomes of the any researcher in this field previously done that research, and put it in front of you in the form of a report, in the form of book, in the form of journal articles, and so on. That's why it serves as a basic reference material for future plan, because you are also using the previous research to review your research topic. That's like same, you are putting your report in front of the knowledge society for future plan of the research, and as taken a review for future plan of that particular research in your profession, your field, or on your topic. A report serves as mean for judging the quality of the completed research project. This is also the main function of research report. It means it is a means for evaluating the researcher ability and competence to do the research. This is the evaluation. What is the function of research? It means to evaluate the researcher's ability and competence to do the research. It also provides factual base for formulating policies and strategies relating to the subject matter study. And the main function of the research report is to provide systematic knowledge on the problems and issues analyzed. Because in the process of research, you are collecting the data, you are analyzing that, and putting very systematically in front of the society. That's the knowledge you have collected, you have researched, you have put it in front of our society. Means we have covered what is the research, we have covered what is the meaning and purpose of research report, we have covered what are the characteristics of our report, and we have also covered what are the functions of research report. Is it? Now we come towards what are the types of research. What are the types? There are number of types of reports depending upon the audience and depending upon the aim for which purpose you have that research have been carried out. And that's why there are measure these 6 number of research reports. First one is technical report. In this technical report, or I have given that particular word, that is the thesis writing, and all of we are very much aware about how the technical report has to be written and has to be come in front of the community. This technical report is a comprehensive full report of research process. It is preliminary meant for the academic community because researcher do the research for their profession, and audience of that particular research or users of that particular research are the profession doing the work in that particular field of the subject. Scientists of research disciplines and other researchers are also the audience of technical report and this writing the thesis. How the technical report should be. Technical report should be comprehensive. Technical report should be full report of the research process and in its outcome. Means it is the detailed report which accounts of what are the problem of study, what are the objectives of study, what methods and techniques used for to drive the conclusions from the primary data which have been collected by the research through various means maybe the through the questionnaire, observation, or any technique he or she has used. The detailed account of sampling field and other research procedures, sources of data, tools of data collection, methods of data processing, methods of data analysis, detailed findings and conclusions and suggestions. All these aspects should be covered in technical report because technical report is the comprehensive report of the research carried out through that tenure. Technical report essentially are technical in nature, and scope of the report is also comprehensive, and technical language is used to write this type of technical reports. There are guidelines given by various authorities like university or UGC, or in which category or in which field you are going to research. The guidelines have been given, and that's why, as per that guidelines, we are going to present that technical report, which is very, very comprehensive. Second one is popular report. Popular report is designed for an audience of executives, for an administrators. Audience of popular report is who? Audience of popular report is executives, administrators. And why the report is presented before them? He is interested in applying the findings for decision. That's why that should be very brief, very comprehensive, and which should be very clear, very brief, and very straightforward. यहाँ पे आप जो बोले हिंदी में एक्सप्लेन करो, यहाँ पे अलंकृत भाषा का प्रयोग ना करें. Why? Because you are going to extract your findings before the administrator to take the decision about the policy decision, to make the policies, to utilize the funds, or any other objectives. That's why they do not have time to read all the comprehensive reports. So that's why you are going to present the report, which is called popular report for the executives. Is it? Then next one, interim report. What is the interim report? So at some time we know we take the topic to start the research, and some time goes, we are so late to give your conclusion before the audience. And meanwhile, at that time, the severity or the importance of that collected or data, research data, may be get lost. That's why it is the provision to give the information of your research before the audience immediate of the final report writing, and that we call it as interim report. Why? To cover the time lag between data collection and the presentation of results. This is the one time type of research report. Then another is summary report. Summary report is a report for non-technical persons, which should be very simple language. Means it should be briefed in 2 to 3 pages. What is the difference between popular report and summary report? Popular report is the report for executives or administrators to take the decision about the funds or to take the policy decisions. And what is the summary report? Summary report is for non-technical persons, is for layman persons. And for example, the report in 2 to 3 pages, it comes in newspapers. The research have been taken by any university or any institution taking any problem of society. he or she does the research, and outcomes come, research conclusion comes, and in a brief, in 2 to 3 pages, that report have been published in daily newspaper, that we call as the summary report, which is suitable for publication in daily newspaper. Then next one is a research abstract. What is research abstract? It's a extraction of our research. It's a briefing of our research, and which is the short summary of technical report. We are all the researcher know, after the completion of our research, we do the final synopsis, what research have been taken, and that final synopsis we send to the expert for take the decision, as that subject is of his or her interest, is it the specialization of the expert, and for that we do this type of research abstract to decide whether the study belongs to the area of her reputation. Her means who's the expert, external expert. Mean while doing the PhD research, we do the all research process, and at the end of the research project, we do the final synopsis to send towards the examiners, and that type of report, we call it as a research abstract. What it covers? It should be covered statement of problem, it should be covered objectives of the study, it should be covered methods and techniques used, and overview of the report. A brief summary of results of the study may also be added to the research abstract, because this is the brief outline, brief report of the original research have been taken. And it's what is the use of this report? Is it this type of report enable the examiner to decide whether the study belongs to the area for their specialization or their interest. This type of research, we call it as research abstract. And last one is a research article. There is, I think, as the audience of today's this session, there is actually no need to elaborate this point, because we all are researchers. We are doing the publications in various journals, and how to write the research article. It's no need to elaborate, but in short, I will express my views about this. The research article is designed for publication in professional journals, and it should be very concise, unambiguous language, and in very special format, which also cover with the abstract of some words, maybe the 100 words, 150 words, 500 words, and all these types. Different journals have their own policies about the research article, their own format about the research article. If you write the report by our own way and put it for publication to any journal, they suggest us that you should make the changes in your format and give the your report in our format, because we are not going to publish in any format, because our policy is the research report be in this special format, and that's why we are supposed to change our format in the required format of that particular journal, is it? And we are the witness of all these things because we are gone from all this process, is it? Now we will see writing about the variables. Writing in qualitative research is more descriptive than the analytical quantitative research. Hence, you need to use your imagination in terms of placements of information, linkage between thoughts and flow of language to make the writing interesting, to read, meaningful in conveying the findings. These are the writings about a variable, isn't it? Now, 1 minute. The suggested format is organized around the main themes of the study. There are other formats. Some researchers write everything under one heading, the findings. The format is appropriate for research paper because it is short, but not for research report or dissertation. Other writers follow the same order as in the research instrument. For example, findings are discussed under each question. The reader needs to refer continuously to the instrument for each question. It is segmental, lacks linkage and integration, and does not place finding into perspective. Means what? Formats used at different level or at different stages or at different purpose is the changing format. Maybe the thematical information, maybe the main information, maybe the content of information may not be the change, but format. Which point should be comprehensive and which point should be taken as a brief, that has to be decided. In dissertation or thesis, we do the research and write the report according to the objectives defined preliminary. Means number of objectives are there, and we are going to write the research according to all the objectives taken into account for the research, is it? But for the journal publication, there is no need to specify each and every object to determine, because we may take one or two objectives and according to the data collected, according to the data inferred, according to the data calculated, and the according to the conclusions driven from that two particular objectives, you can put for the publication in journals, is it? समझ में आता है? देखो, रिसर्च जब आप स्टार्ट करेंगे, वहां नंबर ऑफ ऑब्जेक्टिव्स आर देयर, इज इट? And according to the all objectives or aims we have taken into consideration, we are going to form the report in terms of thesis or dissertation. But there is no need to go through all the objectives for the publication of an article in the journal. Only 2 or 3 objectives may be taken from your research. Data have been collected as per the objectives of you have chosen. That data has been calculated and presented in the form of graphs, in the form of charts, in the form of tables and calculations. Findings have been driven from these selected two objectives, and the paper has been completed to publish, because there is a limitation of number of pages. In thesis, actually, we can elaborate each and everything, is it? sorry. That's why when audience changes, when authority changes, when objective changes, it vary the writing of that particular report. Now, planning the report writing. After the data collection and data analysis, report writing cannot be started abruptly. Then it requires careful pre-planning. This planning process involves many steps. There should be effective communication. Who says, what says, whom says, for which purpose, at what effect. All these factors should be taken into consideration for the planning of writing, because a research report is a means of communication. We have to consider some basic questions which determines the effectiveness of the communication. Means to whom we are going to write, or why you are going to write, what is the purpose of your research, and what will be the effects of your research report. Taking into consideration all these factors, we should plan to write the report, because as soon as we complete our research and then started to write, we should be pre-planned, is it? Then what are the steps? Planning, report writing, we should take on the consideration. The first step planning report writing is to determine the target audience, to whom you are going to present your report. The form and style of reporting and other aspects depend upon the type of reader for whom you are going to intended. Means when the audience is learned persons, when the audience is the professional persons, and when the audience is the researcher, then you can use the technical language, because they know the language which you are going to use. But the same language is not applicable for the layman, for the common people in the society, because they may not be know the style of language, style of presentation, this technical type of language. They do not know. That's why we have to plan before writing which type of audience is there and how you are going to present your research work. The identification of target audience depends on who is the researcher and what is the intention. Two factors are very important. One is audience, and second is intention. Intention means what? What is the objective? Why you are going to write, and why the persons who are going to read the report. This is the main factor. For example, suppose the target audience is MPhil or PhD students. Means when the audience is the academic community, then the language should be how? When the audience is a sponsoring body, suppose we are going to apply for the project to the various institutions like CSIR, ICSSR or UGC, and the agencies have funded for your research, and you are going to report your research to that agencies. Then how should be the research? Means what? The who is audience and what is the intention is very important factor when you are planning to do the report. Is it? Means for researcher, the style will be changed. For the sponsoring body, style will be changed. And when this report is going to publish in newspapers or in common popular journals for the general public, then the format is also going to change. That's why planning of report writing is very important according to the audience and according to the target audience and what are the intentions is very important. For example, I have given uh, for the researcher, for the sponsoring body, and for the general peoples. Is it? When we have planned and taken into consideration the audience as well as intention, then second step comes. What is the second step in planning report writing? Is to consider the selected audience communication characteristics. Means what? For general public, we are going to broad findings and implications for the research studies for the socio-economic problems. Is it? But for the research student, we have to incorporate the methodology. What is the sampling? Which technique you have been utilized? All these things come under the report when you are going to present that report for the researcher. Is it? सुनो भाई, समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं? Because there should not be a one-way communication, because I am going to express my views. Audience is not visible here. That's why I'm asking, is it clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am. We are
ma'am.
understanding, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Then how we plan the report writing? First thing we have taken into consideration, what is the audience? What are the intentions? Is it? Then the intended purpose of the report is also taken into consideration. Type of report with the reference to the intended use, the type of report to be prepared. The scope of report, next step is to determine the scope of the contents with reference to type of report and its intended purpose. How a scope should be? In-depth scope should be for the researcher. Very critical scope should be for the sponsoring agencies. And there is no need to very technical for the general public. The style of reporting, the style of report should be simple and clear. There is no need for heavy words. Simple words, simple language should be there, because you are going to put the report in front of the audience to know or to get the knowledge, to know what is the your research. And there is nothing to impress the audience, because you are going to put the factual data you have collected in a primary stage. Primary data you have collected, analyzed, and put it into various format to understand simply, and the conclusions given to the audience. There is no any glorification in the language or style of the presentation in language. There should be very simple and very clear. No ambiguity should be there. Is it? Then what should be the format of the report? Planning of a report, it also cover the format of report. Next step is what? The next step is to plan the format of report. which varies according to the type of report. We have seen what are the types. There are number of types: thesis type, extractive reports, simple reports. All these things we have seen the in last slide. And according to the type of research, we are planning to give the report. There should be outline, table of content. The final step in the planning report writing is to prepare a detailed outline for each of the proposed chapter of the report. Outline बहुत important बात होती है report writing में, because as per the outline we are going to present the report. जब आप अपना थीसिस के लिए रिसर्च शुरू करते हैं, at very first step we are going to provide the chapter scheme. Is it how the chapter scheme should be and how your research outline should be? Means what? At first time you are going to give this, but there should be a flexibility. Is it? There should be a flexibility, and should not be rigid. You can change at any stage according to the need, according to the purpose, and according to the feasibility to present the report. Is it? Then what is the next step to plan format report? According to the type of report. Outline, table of content. Final step in planning report is to prepare a detailed outline for each of the proposed chapter of the report. A table of content flows from the nature of the problems under study and the objectives of the study, the hypothesis to be tested, and the variable study. These are the factors. These are the factors which have been taken into consideration when we are going to plan the report right. These factors have been taken into consideration because you have driven the conclusions, you have tested the hypothesis, you have collected the data as per our objectives, you have reviewed the number of publications, number of articles, number of documents, information resources to strengthen your researcher. You have checked out the loopholes in a prior research taken under your subject in which you are going to study, and how your research is going to fill up the loopholes which have already in that platform of research in the subject we are going to study. Is it? Means what? Why you take the review of literature? Because when the objectives are finalized of our research, then there is a first step of research is to take the review. Because in the review of literature, we know at what stage the research has been done in this field in which you are going to research. And that's why according to objectives and review taken, we frame the hypothesis. Is it? As per the objective and review of literature, we form the hypothesis, and that hypothesis has been tested. There is no need to satisfy each and every hypothesis. Hypothesis may be true, hypothesis may be false, because hypotheses are not the conclusions. You have hypothesized the conclusion according to the review of literature, and your research have been not completed when forming the hypothesis. Is it? That's why hypothesis may not be proved, may be proved. That's another thing. But when planning of report writing, all these factors should be taken into consideration, and then you have to start the report writing. Then what is the next? Next is developing an outline. The report is divided into three parts: introduction, the models you are going to choose, and what are the conclusions and recommendations. Outline should be very clear cut. Three parts: preliminary part, जो गाभा रहता है रिसर्च का, वो जो main theme of the research, and last one the conclusions and recommendations that have been driven from your research conclusions. Is it? The title and contents of subsequent chapters depend upon what you have attempted to describe, explore, examine, establish, or prove in your study. As the content of each project is different, the chapter will be different. The title of each chapter should be reflect the main thrust of its content. आउटलाइन जो है हम आपको आपके सामने जो रख रहे हैं, एक आउटलाइन ऐसे होना चाहिए, लेकिन इट डिफर्स फ्रॉम टाइटल टू टाइटल. In some topic, there is no need to incorporate any theoretical chapter in his research, because the research is only depend upon the that is the primary data you have collected from the audience or sample you have used. But at some time, there is a need to incorporate one theoretical chapter in the thesis, because there is a need. Otherwise, the audience cannot get the information or clarification what you are going to put forth before them. That's why, according to the need, according to the objectives, according to the subject you have been chosen, the style of presentation may be changed for some extent. Maybe there is a guideline of particular institution, particular university. Then also there is a scope to change somewhat in difference. Like this, the chapter we are going to incorporate in your thesis, that should be examined and established, prove the study. Is it? That's why the title you are going to we are going to declare for that content, that should be also very clear, and which should reflect the thrust of the content. Means in that chapter, which type of information you are going to present, that type of nomenclature has to be given to that particular chapter. Is it? There are various styles of outline. Outline should not be considered as rigid. What I have told now, that should be rigid scheme to be strictly followed. But it is likely to undergo the changes. Means what? You are going outline as per the guidelines or norms given to put forth of your research. But as and when required, as per your choice of the interest, or as per you have chosen the style of the presentation, or what topic you have chosen for the research, there is a somewhat flexibility to model or to change the given rigid scheme of outlining. Is it? Means at the starting you have given there are 7 chapters like this, and at end you know that there is a need to add some information which is very much applicable to our audience, and that at the last you are going to submit that information in your thesis. Then there should be the flexibility to add that chapter at the 11th hour, last hour. Means what? Means this key, there is a rigid scheme of outline, but there is a flexibility to change. Is it? Then two things we have to taken into consideration, that is a topic outline and sentence outline. Mean in the topic outline, topic heading and the subtopic headings are noted, and the points to be discussed under each subheading may be denoted by 1 or 2 keywords. And what is sentence outline? Sentence outline the essential ideas to be discussed under each subtopic. Means suppose first is the introduction chapter, and in this first 1.1, this one 1.2, this one 1 point means 1.1 introduction, 1.2 objective, 1.3 scope, like this. But if you are going to add in the scope 1.3 scope, but you are going to add some points which are related to the scope, we are going to give the limitations also. Then what will happen? 1.3.1 scope, 1.3.2 limitations, like this. Means outline of the heading and subheading should be clear cut mentioned in your research report. And after that, when you have been decided the subjects, topics, subtopics, and then the sentences. Then sentences outline the essential ideas to be discussed under each subtopic. Each sub जो सब टॉपिक्स आपने चूज किए हैं, वो जो टॉपिक्स है, ये टॉपिक में क्या होना, ये चैप्टर में ये सब होना, सब टॉपिक में क्या होना, ये सब ये होना. लेकिन वो टॉपिक सब टॉपिक में भी कौन सी सेंटेंसेस कैसे इनकॉर्पोरेट करना है, उसकी भी एक स्टाइल होना, उसकी भी एक आउटलाइन होना, कि दैट शुड बी डिस्कस्ड अंडर ईच सब टॉपिक. सब जो आपने चूजे है स्टाइल के अनुसार सब टॉपिक्स, उसके बारे में ईच एंड एवरी line and each and every word should be given in a particular style of the outcome. Is it? Then arrangement of material. Arrangement of material have been fully covered and arranged in a logical sequence. Note cards have to be sorted and grouped topic wise. Groups of cards have to be then arranged in order in which the respective topics have been listed in the outlines. Means जो आपने मटेरियल कलेक्ट किया हुआ है, वो उसका अरेंजमेंट भी अच्छी तरह से होना चाहिए. What materials you have been collected? You have been collected primary type of data. Primary type of data is the data about the researcher, means the information collected from the survey, questionnaire, interview, observation, like this. That is the primary data. Secondary data you have been collected from the review of literature from other researchers which have been completed in our field, which have published in various documents like books, like reference book, like journal articles, patents, thesis, dissertation, and so on. Tertiary data. Tertiary data is like encyclopedia, it is dictionary, it is like, means the tertiary data is the data of primary and secondary sources. That is the data, tertiary data. And you have been collected all this material, but where should it be put in your report? That is very important thing, and that we have to take on into consideration, that arrangement of material be proper, topic wise, and groups should be formed according to the material available, and that should be put in front of the audience in the form of a report. Similarly, the statistical tables and tables of statistical computation results have to be arranged in order in which the relative variables have been ordered in the outline. With these arrangements, the planning stage of report writing ends. Means what? How the collected primary data is presented in the form of various statistical methods applied. Is it? Maybe in the form of table, maybe in the form of pie charts, maybe in the form of bar graphs, line graphs, anything. How that information is put before the audience, that factor also taken into consideration. Sequence of the document material should be noted, that how the sequence should be given in the format of research, because that's why one important thing I would like to share with you, how you are going to give the report like that, taken into consideration that point, you have to frame the questionnaire. Means what happened, how question sequence of questionnaire we organize about the final report or final conclusions you are going to put before the audience. Taken into consideration the objectives and the conclusions driven, we have to frame the questionnaire, and sequence of the question should be incorporated like that, in which we are giving the report, final report before the audience. Is it? What I am going to tell you कि आपको जो रिपोर्ट ऑडियंस के सामने पुट कर देना है, उसके हिसाब से आप क्वेश्चनर फ्रेम करना. क्वेश्चंस ऑब्जेक्टिव के अनुसार आप क्वेश्चंस तैयार करते हैं, लेकिन उसका सीक्वेंस जो होना है, वो सीक्वेंस you are giving the sequence as per you required to put the report before audience. Is it? That's I am going to tell you the arrangement of the planning stage report writing. Now this ends the arrangement of material. Is it? It's a very important part of our today's presentation, that what should be the research report format. Research report format, इसमें divided into three broad groups. Is it? In this section, the format of comprehensive technical report of doctoral thesis is discussed. Because why? Because our audience, today's session's audience, are the learned audience, our audience are the researchers. That's why we are focusing on the report like thesis or dissertations. Is it? In this report format, first and important factor is preliminary pages. Prefactory items we call it as. These are the preliminary pages in which title page, researcher's declaration, certificate of the research supervisor, preface or acknowledgement, table of content, list of tables, list of graphs and charts, abstracts and synopsis. Then I would like to share my views about this. These are the preliminary pages. Our student always get confused which should be where, what information should be there, and all these things. That's why, as we are now the guide of the research scholars, and we are giving the ideas or concepts how the research have been taken by your students. That's why it's actually, I repeat once again, there is actually no need for this audience to give the detailed information about that. But actually, I am working as a librarian and I know there are loopholes and that should be refreshed. That's why I'm going in detail. Actually, a title page, which is the very important page of your research format, because this is the first page of report. And what it contains? It contains the name, title of the thesis, which we are going to study, the name of degree for which it is going to submit, the name of author or the researcher, the name of the institution on which the report is going to submitted, is it? And at last, but not the least, the name of supervisor, is it? Then second page of preliminary pages is the research supervisor certificate, is it? In this case, students, researchers, supervisor give the certificate about the student, that her student has to certify that he has taken the research independently, and our student has taken the efforts to do this one research, which is not a copy of anything else, and all these things we have to give the certificate by the supervisor. Then there is a acknowledgement, preface. what preliminary pages में जो होता है acknowledgement का जो हिस्सा, we have to acknowledge. In this section, the researcher acknowledges the assistance and support received from individuals, received from organizations in conducting the research. Like when you are going to collect the questionnaire by the audience, which is suppose the audience is your senior college teachers in the particular region, and if there is a problem to collect the data, primary data, then we are going to take the help of the principal working in that institution, and then the data has been collected. Then we have to acknowledge the person who have helped you to collect the data. Like that, number of libraries, number of resources you have been used from various types of libraries, maybe academic, maybe research library, maybe public library, or anything else. Then in the support of your research, you are taking the support of libraries. You have to acknowledge that organization or institution in your report writing also. And it's for to show the gratitude of your supervisor, your friend circle, your teachers. We have to acknowledge the fact in very simply and very nicely, is it? Then table of content. Table of content is also very important factor in the report writing, because we have the clear picture of your report or your thesis in the content table of content. Table of content gives outline of contents of the report. It contains a list of chapters, their subtitles with page numbers. It facilitated the ready location of the topics in the report. We have to give, we are giving chapter number 2, this and this. Chapter number 2 from 51 to 75. But in chapter number 2, which subtitles have been incorporated and which subtitle is on which page number, that is also incorporated in the table of content, so as to reach very easily to the information and needed to the audience, is it? That's why the chapter headings may be typed in capital letters and the subtitles in small letters. It's very crucially I'm going to present, because somewhat extent there is a means there is a variation to put the information put for guide to guide. There are changes. That's why if the style manual or the format you have decided, then that should be obeyed very strictly. Then list of tables. After the table of contents, there should be the list of tables. How many tables are there? In which, on which page that tables have been presented, and what are the names of that table that has been enlisted in the list of table. Then list of graphs, list of tables, list of graphs and charts, and abstracts or list of graphs and charts. Which graphs you have drawn and charts you have given in your report with page number, that should be incorporated in the list of graphs. Then what comes? Then the first chapter, body of the report. This is the outline. This is the outline. This is the, now we are going to in detail the body of the report, is it? We have taken prefaces, preliminary pages. In preliminary pages, this factor comes, title page, all these things. Then we are going to body of report. After preliminary pages, the body of report is presented. It is the major and main part of the report, because it is the soul of your research, is it? It covers the formulation of problems studied, methodology, findings and discussion, summary of the findings and recommendation. In a comprehensive report, the body of report will consist of several chapters. For example, introduction. This is the first chapter in the body of research report. It is devoted for introducing the theoretical background of the problem, its definition and formulation. It may consist of the various sections. Which sections? This one. Theoretical background of the topic, statement of the problem, a review of the literature, the scope of the problem, objective of the study, hypothesis to be tested, definition of the concept, and models, if any. In theoretical background, what comes? First task is to introduce the background. And what is the nature of problem you are going to select for the study. That should be placed into large extent to enable the reader to know the significance of the proper perspective. Means what? It summarizes the theory and conceptual document framework. Theory and conceptual. Theoretical background means which topic you have been selected, what is the theoretical background for that topic, we have to elaborate in this section. Then, for example, theoretical background of the thesis of the particular subject like economics or any social sciences, we have to give the background of the Indian economic perspectives, what are the theories, what nothing. Which information is supporting your research theoretically, that we are going to incorporate information in the theoretical background of the topic. As well as which information we have to take into consideration, not in only published form, the information in the form of in unpublished form, maybe in the thesis, maybe in the dissertations and unpublished documents, that also be taken into consideration when you are going to present the background of your research topic, is it? Then second is statement of problem. In this section, why and how the problem was selected. Why you are going to research on this topic, that information should be given in the statement of problem. In this, your clear title should be mentioned in this area, statement of problem, and the significance of your study should be given in the statement of problem. Then a review of literature. A review of literature is the very important part of your research, because it is the platform on which you are standing up, is how the research on your topic has been carried out elsewhere in the world on this topic, what significant results have been calculated, what views have been given in the various type of documents, that points have been covered under the review of literature. It's the brief review of previous studies on that particular problem and that significant writing on the topic which you are going to study. What it provides? A review provides summary of the current state of knowledge. Means what? There should not be duplication, and you should know on your topic what are researchers have been undertaken elsewhere in the world and what results or conclusions they have driven and put it form of various publication or in the form of thesis also. Nowadays, unpublished documents like thesis is also very easy to receive or easy to reachable, because there is one documentary which have been given the service of infallible net. Show the Ganga, show the Sindhu. Show the Ganga is the thesis database. When we are going to submit our thesis, there is a mandatory option to give your thesis in the soft copy, in the form of soft copy, so as to keep it on the Show the Ganga project, which have been driven by the InflipNet, which is the affiliated organization of UGC. And nowadays it is very easy to reach towards the research completed anywhere in India, not only in India, elsewhere in the world, because of the ICT, information and communication technology, which is a very important aspect in this NEP, also National Education Policy. Also, now we all are meeting here. This is also the product of NEP, I think so, because audience is scattered throughout the India. I am sitting here at Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar, and we are communicating the dialogue between us. This is also the form of the benefits of ICT, isn't it? And that's why review of literature, when we are taking the review of literature, we should take the review of literature we have been published anywhere in the world, and unpublished documents like thesis and dissertation, which are also available in the form of soft copy at the particular space which is on the InflipNet website. Is it? Then the research gaps exist, and how the present studies means we are going to read only the material which have been published. No, we are the researchers. We are the research from the research community, and we are going to present the loopholes. Not only reading the published materials and all these, we are going to study or research on that topic. We are seeking the loopholes on that, and we are bridging that loopholes from your study. That's why review of literature is very important concept in this report writing factor. And the underlying purpose of locate the present research in the existing body of research and the subject, and to point out what it contributes to the subject. Means this we have referred myself. I am going to light on this topic, and how my research is going to bridge the gap or bridge the loopholes which are available with the help of I have taken this information with the help of a review of literature, and I am trying to bridge this gap, and this is the part of review of literature, is it? So review of literature is very important. When I was doing the research, I was the research scholar, and my guide, Professor Dr. Mohar Madam, she told me to collect the review. I said, why? Because I am going to present my new research. Is there a need to review? At that time, madam given me the importance of review. Why the review? Review is important. Review is equally important that you are carrying your own research, is it? Because in review, we are studying the references which have been another research scholar have studied through his tenure and put it in the form of publications. Then another part is scope of the present study. In this part, you have to give clear-cut idea about the scope of the present study, because in any research, particularly this is the tenure research. When are taken into consideration the tenure research, then there is a need to think about the feasibility of the study also, and that's why maybe there is a wide area to research in our profession. But is it possible? Is it feasible to research all these things by one person? You are research scholar by one person in 3 years or 5 years, 10 years. Is it possible? Is it not possible? If it's possible, you can take that type of scope. If it's not possible, you have to incorporate the scope and give some limitations, like this area is covered like this time period or geographical area. We have to focus on that. We are going to study on that particular area in that particular of period, and like this. So scope of the present study is very important. The dimension of studying of the terms of the geographical area covered and population being studied. How you are going to choose your sample, that has been factor come under the scope of the present study. Then what are the objectives of the study? Why your research is going on, that is the objectives of your investigation. And questions relating to each of the objective, the questionnaire has to be provided to the group, targeted group, from which you are going to collect the primary information. Objectives, without objective you can't carry the research. So your objective, very solid objective, you have to give you should give a very specific objective. No ambiguity should be there, and it's the duty of researcher to check each and every objective you have taken. Is it satisfied? Is it collected the data from the targeted group or not? It's very important factor. Then there is hypothesis to be tested. What is hypothesis to be tested? How I have been told you that hypothesis to be tested, that is formulated. Hypotheses are formulated with the help of your objectives and taking the help of review of literature. That review of literature in which other researchers have given the conclusions on that particular subject or topic in the form of publication or non-publication documents in front of you. That review you have taken, and what are your present objective of the subject, taking into two factors, objective and review. We have to formulate the hypothesis to be tested, and that has to be incorporated in your research report format. Then definition of concepts, equally important, because the reader of report is not equipped to understand the study unless he can know the concepts that you are using. Therefore, there should be operational definitions of the concepts and variables. When we incorporate the operational definitions of any author or any scientist, we have to acknowledge that scientist or that author, and we have to give the definition in inverted comma and acknowledge that scientist or author, and give the operational definition of the concepts which we are using in our research. Operational definition of the concept, where is little bit varies from sources to sources. That's why you have to give the justification of the definitions adopted, which you are going to incorporate in your thesis. How those concepts are defined by earlier writers, and how the definitions of the researcher were an improvement or earlier definitions may be explained. Means in writer or scientist or authors giving the operational definitions in inverted comma, but what are your uh, opinion about that operational definition? We have to give the your concepts in this section. Is it clear? Then if any model is there, that should be given, which have been developed, or the relations between variables and a study, and presented with a review of any theoretical or conceptual basis. Underlying assumptions are also stated. If there is any model you have formed, that should be also given in the your research. Means it should be the format of your research, is it? Then design of the study. Means what? The body of the study, methodology of the study, design of the study. In this part of the report, the presentation of all aspects of methodology and implications. That is, methods, collected sample, data collection instruments, techniques, methods of data processing, plan of analysis. Much of his material is taken from the research proposal. Revision, if any, made in the initial design. A reason why the revision has been essential. Each and everything should be clearly stated in the design of the study, in the body of the research report. If pilot study was conducted before designing the main study, the details of pilot study also and its outcomes should also be reported in this. What is pilot study? Means when actual research will be carried out before the starting of the actual research. If necessary, there shall be the pilot study of a small scale of sample we take, and pilot study we give, and some publication we make for that. And if feasibility is there, and at the conclusion, when we conclude that there is feasible and we can make the this type of research, then the main research will start after the pilot study. If there is any pilot study, you can take the information detail in your body of the research. Means मेन जो बॉडी है अपना रिपोर्ट का, आउटलाइन में जो फॉर्मेट बना रहे हैं रिपोर्ट आउटलाइन का, तो मेन बॉडी ऑफ रिपोर्ट जो है उसमें इस all these should be come. Body of the report, methodology, overall typology, all these things come. So body of the methodology में कौन सी मेथोडोलॉजी आप एडॉप्ट कर रहे हैं? Which methodology you are going to accept in this section? The overall research, experimental, survey, case study, action research, whatever, and techniques of data collection, that may be observation, interview, mail, questionnaire, everything. Which methodology? Descriptive, quantitative, qualitative, And which techniques of data that we are going to use, each and everything should be given in the methodology outline of the body, that's in under the methodology. Then the sources from which the secondary and primary data has been collected, that has been stated. In the case of primary data, that should be also the source of data that come under this type of information. Then sampling plan, how the primary information is going to collect by sampling the data, because as far as the social science research concerned, there is a need, to take the sample, which whatever the research, sampling is must, because you are deciding the target area. Suppose there is a geographical area in Sambhajinagar district, you are using the academic libraries of Sambhajinagar district and taking the sample. Is it possible to take the information for each and every library? No. Then how you are going to select the data? You are selecting the data from this. There are number of tehsils, this area, number of villages, this. In each village, there are number of colleges, this. And how you are going to sample? There is a very important step, because when you are going to choose the sample unbiased manner, then and then only there will be the result, concrete results, outcomes. If there is suppose आप क्या बोलते हैं, गार्बेज इन गार्बेज आउट, इनपुट्स जैसा है आउटपुट वैसा ही मिलेगा. यू आर गोइंग टू टेक द सैंपल ओनली ऑफ द जहां पे म्यूनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन है, सिटी है, वहां के अगर आप सैंपल ले रहे हैं, वहां की लाइब्रेरीज अच्छी होंगी, उसमें क्या दुविधा होगी, नहीं होगी. But we are going to at the remote place. Is there any internet connection? Is there any infrastructural? Are there users are using the library? I am giving the example of library because I am the profession, by profession I am a librarian. But in each and every cases or any area of interest, the same problem is there. That's why sample design is a very crucial thing and is very important thing in the research to get the proper outcomes. Sampling plan is also very important aspect. After that, data collection instruments. Data collection instruments, there are number of instruments used for data collection. Their contents, scales, and other devices used for measuring variables, and the procedures of establishing their validity and reliability are described in this section. How the tools are pre-tested and finalized for the reported. How? Means how, which instruments you are going to use for your research, that has to be taken into consideration, and that should be incorporated in the report also. Then field work, when and how the field work was conducted, what problems and difficulties were faced during the field work, that should also be described under this subheading, because number of obstacles come when actual field visits will take place. Maybe the availability of resources, availability of your target group, then there is the environmental problems also, All these factors should be incorporated in the field work. The description of field experiences will be providable valuable lessons for the future researcher or organizing or conducting the field work. For example, my one research student have selected the topic, what are the needs of information needs of the farmers in Maharashtra, and special reference he has taken the two districts of the Maharashtra, Solapur and Sangli, I think, in the Pashchim Maratha section. Then he has collected the data from the farmers which are in that particular area. But when there is a when we select the technique of data collection questionnaire, some farmers are illiterate how the information should be collected. Then there are some interviews he has taken. Then illiterate persons, they asking them why you are collecting the information and what is the use for us of this information, and all these things कि what will आप क्या करेंगे ये इंफॉर्मेशन लेके, क्या हमें इसका इसका कुछ फायदा हो सकता है क्या, नहीं तो इसका कुछ मिसयूज हो सकता है क्या, हम नहीं देते आपकी आपको ये these are the experiences in survey method, is it? So that information is also should be given in your research topic, so as the next coming generation of the researcher will think or it how the information should be gathered, or this traditional method should be applied, all these things, is it? After the field work, data processing and analyzing form. After visiting the field and using various technique, you are going to collect the primary data, and after the collecting the data, there is a process of analyzing the data. The method may be manual or mechanical, should be adopted. There are various softwares. For example, for the social science research, there is SPSS software for analyzing the data. Number of softwares are there that should be taken. Methods used to data analysis and testing hypothesis must be outlined and justified. If common methods like कौन से common methods है, chi square टेस्ट है, कोरिलेटेड टेस्ट है, एनालिसिस ऑफ वेरिएंस है, मीन मोड मीडिया ए है, these tests for analyzing the data, if there is a comparison, that correlation test should be there. All these things data processing करते समय ये सब thing we have taken into consideration, and we should glorify our data, means not in hard manner, it should be very simply manner, because if the information put in the form of textual form, no one is going to read that information. If you give that textual information in the tabular form, someone will see that. But when that information is you going to put in front of the audience in the form of graphs and charts, in colorful graphs, then that will attract the audience or the researcher, and आकलन के लिए भी वो easy रहता है, तो that should be presented in a proper manner in the form of pictorial forms, graphs, like this. And which method or which graphs or tools you are going to use, that should be incorporated in the report, outlined in the report format, is it? Now, overview of the report. Overview क्या रहता है? This is the scheme of suspense topic that has been stated in the purpose of each of the briefly described in a section in order to give the overview of the presentation. पूरा जो थीसिस अपना है, रिसर्च रिपोर्ट अपना है, उसका ओवरव्यू जो रहता है वो भी अपने रिपोर्ट में आना चाहिए. Then last one is limitation of the study. जैसे अपने स्कोप में बताया, ऑब्जेक्टिव्स के बाद अपने स्कोप ये हम करने वाले हैं, लेकिन लिमिटेशन भी बताना होगा कि these are the limitations we can't reach at that topic, at that region, at that audience. These are the limitations. This type of information is going to huge amount of data, and it's unable to give. That's why we are going to give the limitations of this study also. No research is free from limitations. No research is free from weaknesses. There arises from methodological weaknesses, maybe weaknesses in the sampling, maybe the non-responses by the audience, maybe the data inadequacies, measurement deficiencies. Such limitations may be incorporated in your research report because it impact on the conclusions of your research. Therefore, a careful statement of the limitations and weaknesses of the study should be made in order to enable the reader to judge the validity of conclusions and the general worth of study in the proper perspective manner. A frank statement of the limitation should be incorporated in the content of research. Is it? I think there is a interval for 10 to 15 minutes. Is it? Hello?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
At what time, sir? At what time? Should I stop or continue? Hello?
Continue, madam. Continue.
कंटिन्यू
हाँ.
करा मैडम, कंटिन्यू.
ओके ओके ओके. एक 5 से 10 मिनट का टाइम लगेगा. We will finish this report outline.
Ma'am, if you want, you can take a break.
No, I don't want. But if
Okay.
this is a one-way communication and audience get, because we are the witness in the COVID period, when just going to listening, and at this stage we are not aware about the listening stage, is it? So if you are getting bored, we can stop for a few minutes. Otherwise, we continue this topic, is it? The research outline. रिसर्च आउटलाइन क्या रहता है? रिसर्च आउटलाइन में क्या क्या बातें आती है, ये जो आप देख रहे हैं. तो रिपोर्ट बॉडी ऑफ द रिपोर्ट में ये पूरे लिमिटेशन तक अपने जो एस्पेक्ट देखे. अब जो है फाइंडिंग्स एंड डिस्कशंस is the cream or the main part of your research. रिजल्ट्स जो रहते हैं, फाइंडिंग्स एंड डिस्कशन. उसके बाद फाइंडिंग्स एंड डिस्कशन is the outcome of your research which have been you carried out. That should be mandatory to present in your report. Presentation on analysis and result is followed by the separate final chapter of summary and conclusions, because it's the outcome, results of your throughout research plan, is it? This chapter is more extensive than the abstract give in the beginning of the report. This is the brief, it's not a briefing, it's the elaborating status of the result. This chapter should be self-contained summary of the whole report, containing a summary of essential background information, findings, and inclusions and recommendations. After a brief statement of a problem, the purpose of study of the methodology used in the investigation, the finding and conclusions are presented. Means when you have collected the data, you have analyzed it, you have presented in various formats, you have driven some conclusions and findings, that findings should have to be incorporated in the research format, the topic of findings and discussion. After that, summary, conclusion, recommendation and terminology. इसमें क्या होता है? इसमें होता है कि what is the summary of your research? We call it as the extraction of your research project. क्या है कि इतना थीसिस पढ़ नहीं सकते हम, क्या है इसमें, तो वो बता देना समरी में कि इसमें ये बातें हैं. Means it's the extracted product of whole thesis research. It's a summary. After a brief statement of problem, you should give the summary of, and what should be contained, what it contained. Summary also, you have to incorporate the objectives, scope and limitations, major implications, major findings, major conclusions, and methodology you have used, how data has been collected, how what is the sample you have taken, which methodology you have used, all these things, but in very extracted manner, not in lengthy, because the extraction or summary is for the expertise audience, which will be read by the expertise, which are the external examiner of your study, and this is the extraction of your research work that should also be added in the body of the research. Well, is it? Writing your report is the most crucial step in the research process. Okay, all these things we have taken, is it? Body of the research we have taken all these things. How to write the last but not the least part of the thesis, which is very, very important factor. As I am the professor in the field of library and information science, I should give the weightage for this, because there should not be any variation. When we are using the bibliography, there are number of several established systems of writing bibliography. Choice depends upon the preference of your discipline and university, in which discipline you are going to research, and what norms have been taken by your university to present the bibliography. There are a number of style manuals also. Harvard system है, अमेरिकन APS स्टाइल मैनुअल आप जो बोलते हैं वो है, मेडिकल एसोसिएशन का अलग है, मैग्रो हिल का सिस्टम अलग है, मॉडर्न लैंग्वेज एसोसिएशन का अलग है, फुटनोट सिस्टम अलग है, शिकागो स्टाइल मैनुअल अलग है. All have the equal importance, but in which institution you are working, that university which model is going to accept is very important, and as per the decided norms of that university. For example, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University is going to apply the APA style manual for the bibliography formation. If the university has been taken the policy decision to use that particular style manual, then you have to incorporate the bibliography according to that style manual. Is it? This is the bibliography. Actually, researchers are the very creamy audience of the society, but then also there is a need to say you have to stick up the policies or the decisions taken by that particular institution or the university to obey the rules or the generalized statements or everything given to present the report. If you are going to API style manual, you strictly you have to apply the API. You should not mix up there some API, some Chicago, and like this, because uniformity is very important in research work. And जो आने वाले रिसर्चर है वो उसी तरह से देखेंगे कि क्या किया है, और उसी तरह से वो भी प्रेजेंट करने वाले हैं करके क्या करना कि जो भी दिया गया है गाइडलाइन, सेम वी हैव टू फॉलो द गाइडलाइन फॉर द present the bibliography. Is it? And this is the conclusion or a summary of our presentation, that writing your report is the most crucial step in the research process, as it communicates the findings of your research supervisor and readers. A badly written report can spoil all the hard work you have put into your research study. Styles of research writing vary amongst the research, but all research reports must be written clearly and concisely, is the conclusion or summary of our research. Because you have done the research very plainly, very hard work you have taken, number of years you have lost, collected the data and all these things, research work you have done. But if you not put it in well format or well precise manner, then your research will spoil like anything, and that should not be there. That's why today's lecture is there, and this is the summary, or it's the advice or the suggestion to all, because you are the research guides and you are the researcher. So you should keep in mind all these things, as well as you should convey all these things to the research students who are doing the research under your guidance. If there is any discussion point, we will discuss. Otherwise, from my side, thank you to the opportunity given me, Professor Satish Patil sir, Professor Rafle sir, and audience of today's session, and listening me patiently from last, I think, 2 hours. So thank you very much.
Hello.
धन्यवाद
Hello.
मॅडम.
Hello.
धन्यवाद मॅडम. धन्यवाद.
Thank you, sir.
Hello. Hello,
हाँ,
ma'am.
बोला.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, hello, ma'am.
हाँ मॅडम बोला, ऐकते मी.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Your speech was really meaningful for us. But one thing I want to know, as you've told that the primary data is really difficult to collect, isn't it? So, can we do our procedure only by collecting secondary data in a thesis?
supportive data
Hmm.
to focus supportive data to carry the research, is it?
Huh.
But the primary data is very mandatory for the research, is it?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because because without primary data there is no research, madam.
Okay. No, I'm a mathematician. That's why I was asking for this.
Yeah, you can use the theory, you can use the formulas, you can use the all these things which have been published earlier, but it is mandatory to add on this theoretical background your research activities or your research formula to be a research.
Okay, it means it is necessary to collect
This
both,
is
isn't it?
mandatory, not necessary, madam. It's mandatory.
Okay, okay, it's mandatory. Okay, okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, what is the purpose of pilot experiment before doing any research, any
Ah,
empirical research? So what is the
yes,
purpose of this?
yes, it's a purpose to check the feasibility. टू चेक द फिजिबिलिटी यू आर गोइंग. आप क्या करते हैं, इतना बड़ा बड़ा प्रॉब्लम लेके रिसर्च करते हैं, लेकिन क्या होता है कि एक आफ्टर 1 year completing the research or some time get and we come to the stage that we are not getting the primary data from the audience, targeted group and all these things, and we are unable to do the research forward, and at that time we spoil our years of together. That's why if you do the pilot study of that particular research and yeah, just simply it's the for feasibility, ये चेक करना है कि is it feasible to work.
Basically, we can say before starting any empirical data, yeah, empirical study, then we can go for the pilot study in order to do authentication of any research. Is it right, sir? Is it right,
Yes,
ma'am?
yes, yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. What is the can you meet after 15 minutes or what is the regular practice? I'm asking to audience, sir.
मैम ये एक ही बार होता है, एक बार खत्म हो जाता है, तो
अच्छा,
जी
It's a
मैम,
11 to
गैप
2, ma'am. Morning
गैप नहीं
session
होता
is
है.
11 to 2.
11 to 2. So should
Yes.
I start some other topic? Because report writing is finished now. Nothing else. कुछ भी बाकी रहा नहीं ऐसा लगता है. Is there any discussion? Free to discuss. But if you I think there is nothing to discuss, then you can proceed further for the other topic. Is it?
मैम रिसर्च एथिक्स के बारे में अगर आप थोड़ा सा बता.
And
Okay.
hello, ma'am. Ma'am, one thing more. If if you can explain about the poster presentation. What is that?
Okay. पोस्टर प्रेजेंटेशन ये रहता है कॉन्फ्रेंसेस जो रहते हैं, सिंपोजिया जो रहते हैं, वहां पे पोस्टर प्रेजेंटेशन रहता है. अगर पूरा टॉपिक आप प्रेजेंट करने का मौका न मिले, क्योंकि वो कितना रहता है, 2 या 3 दिन का रहता है. नंबर ऑफ रिसर्चर आर देयर, नंबर ऑफ प्रेजेंटर्स आर देयर, एंड इट्स नॉट पॉसिबल टू give the time to each and every researcher to present the paper. There are plenary number of sessions also there, but if the researcher want to present in the form of poster, then you make the poster of your research on a poster presentation. There is an exhibition of that poster, and the people or researcher come to you to know what is the your research project or research study. Then you have to explain that material which you have written or taken under the your study for the poster presentation.
Ma'am, is it of one page only?
मैडम जैसे मैंने आपको बोला कि the policy has been decided by the authorities.
अच्छा,
आपको साइज भी दिया हुआ होता है, कितना साइज
हम्म।
है according to the
But
availability of space and all these things. But
everything is written on a single page, is it?
हाँ, तो आपको जो वो they are asking for the poster presentation or oral presentation, they give you the format, how to give the presentation or how to give the poster presentation. But
Okay.
actually it is the one chart you can display.
Oh, okay, thanks. Thanks, ma'am.
इथिकल अप्रोच के बारे में कोई तो बोला है कि इथिकल अप्रोच में कुछ बोलना है, तो आई विल कंटिन्यू. शुड आई कंटिन्यू?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
एक मिनट, 1 मिनट के लिए मैं तो थोड़ा सा ब्रेक दीजिए. दीदी पानी है क्या? नहीं ना, थोड़ा सा पानी. हेलो, रिसर्च जितना इम्पोर्टेंट है, सब ज्वाइन हो गए? ऑल ऑफ अस आर देयर?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
सुनो, जितना इम्पोर्टेंट रिसर्च है उतना ही इम्पोर्टेंट आपका इथिकल अप्रोच जरूरी है, क्योंकि ये जो अब टुडे वी आर सीइंग दैट देयर इज कट पेस्ट का जमाना है, बोलते हैं इधर का उधर का लेने का और अपने नाम पे छपने का. इट्स नॉट द मोरालिटी in research particularly, because there is a term we have been heard that plagiarism, वांग्मय चौर्य म्हणतो कि we have stolen the ideas, facts of other researcher, other authors, other scientists, and publishing that as it is, that facts are ours, that views are ours. That is the plagiarism. And ethical approach, what is the ethical approach? Ethical approach ये है, actually I would like to present, there is with us my side there is one PPT also who is calling. Hello. I would like to share one PPT of plagiarism and ethical approach. अरे 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 शेअर कर हे पीपीटी झूमायचं नाही झूम कुठे तुला माहित नाही का त्याच्यावरच आहे ना प्लॅगरिझम जायचंय का क्लिनिकला This is the equally important part.
PPT is not able.
Not visible.
मॅम पीपीटी दिसत
हाँ.
नाहीये
हाँ नहीं है.
शेअर कर व्हिडिओ बंद केल्यामुळे Screen visible. Is it screen visible?
No, ma'am.
Screen.
नो मॅडम.
व्हिडिओ
व्हिडिओ दिसतोय मॅम
हो का
हा व्हिडिओ दिसतो नाही आता दिसत नाही मॅडम.
आता स्क्रीन दिसते का
नाही दिसत नाही मॅडम.
रिजॉईन होते म्हणा दोन आता स्क्रीन दिसतो
हा आता दिसतं मॅडम दिसतं बघा.
शेअर कर शांतपणे
आता बंद झालं बघा दिसत नाही आता.
स्टॉप शेअर काय येते ते ऑप्शन देतात स्टॉप करायचं शेअर नाही शेअर ऑडिओ
मॅम शेअर ऑप्शन आहे ना शेअर ऑप्शन वरती गेल्यानंतर तुम्हाला
हो ना
इथे select-
तिथे
हा
जाताना
आता
मॅडम
आता दिसतीये स्क्रीन
दिसते का एक मिनिट
ओके ओके मॅडम.
दिसते
येस मॅम आता प्रेझेंटेशन दिसतंय
दिसतं बघा मॅडम दिसतं आता.
चला हे these are the some loopholes in ICT also is it Plagiarism and ethical approach. Plagiarism is equally important as per the research also. Actually, this is the presentation outline of the presentation. It's introduction about plagiarism. What are the types of plagiarism? We will conclude in I think half an hour. We will not go in details. What are the types of plagiarism? Major cases of plagiarism. Why plagiarism is bad? And ethical approach kaya hai? Anti-plagiarism strategies. What are the anti-plagiarism strategies? And tips of good practices, consequences, and role of UGC to avoid plagiarism. What is the role and what are the penalties? After conclusion, we will share this PPT also. We have to acknowledge each and every one, because I have prepared the presentation taking the help of these documents. So I have acknowledged these documents. Ethics of scientific publication is in direct connection with the concept copyright. Plagiarism is a form of misconduct and is defined as taking and using another person's thought and presenting them as their own. It's a plagiarism. क्या है? तो किसके व्यूज है, किसके थॉट्स है, किसके फीलिंग्स है, ये चुरा के लेना और बोलना ये हमारे हैं. It's a product of ours, it's a research of ours, it's a fact of ours. That is the plagiarism. कहाँ पे होता है ये समाज में भी होता है और ये रिसर्च में भी होता है. रिसर्च में प्लेगरिज्म क्या है? इट्स अ फैब्रिकेशन, इट्स ए फाल्सिफिकेशन and it's a misconduct. Means falsification, plagiarism and others practices, we take it as our own. It's the meaning of plagiarism in research. दूसरों का मटेरियल, मेथड्स, मॉडल्स, प्रोसीजर्स लेके वो हम खुद कर रहे हैं, हमारा ये खुद का है, ऐसे बोल के वो डिस्प्ले करना, प्रेजेंट करना, इट्स द प्लेगरिज्म इन रिसर्च. Suppose we are going to collect the data from the society. 50% data have been collected. Your target group is for 100%, and manipulating this 40% result on the 100%. This is also the manipulation, is also the plagiarism. Maybe that data collected by your own. These are some definition of plagiarism. Plagiarize, to use the words or ideas of other persons as if they were your own words or ideas. This is the process of stealing the information of one's own and use another production without crediting the source. तो ऐसी बात है क्या कि किसी ने कुछ डॉक्यूमेंट पब्लिश किया, is there any use for us? Yes, you can use, but not that words are your words. You have to acknowledge that scientist or that person or that authors, these words or these idea or these concepts of that person. You are acknowledging the document, you are acknowledging the procedure, you are acknowledging the material, and that's the what we can say, that's the morality, that's the ethical approach. You are taking the information from the document as it is and not acknowledging the person or not acknowledging the document. That's the misuse of the research product or information, which is not an ethical. But when you are going to acknowledge that person, these ideas are of that particular person, that will be the ethical approach. This is also, अरे ऑडिओ बंद करा कोणाची चालू आहे तर ऑडिओ प्लीज क्लोज करना क्योंकि there is disturbing the voice from your side. Taking over the ideas, methods, or written words of another without acknowledgement and with the intention that they be taken as it is work of the discover, we call it as the plagiarism. What are the types of plagiarism? Most common types of plagiarism जो आप यहाँ पे दिए हुए हैं, submitting another's work word to word is a clone plagiarism. Control C plagiarism में क्या होता है? Contains significant portion of text from single source without alteration. Then find and replacement. Change क्या करने का? जिसका आइडिया है वो लेने का, उसमें से कुछ कीवर्ड्स निकालने के, अपने कीवर्ड्स डालने के और ये एज इट इज है मेरा है करके प्रोडक्ट सामने देने का. उसका अर्थ क्या है? Changing keywords and phrases but retaining the essential content of the source. Fourth one, remix का. Paragraphs copy paste करने के, number of sources, ये सोर्स में से इतना, वो सोर्स में से उतना, ये सोर्स में से इतना, ये पैराग्राफ लेके ये जो एक प्रेजेंटेशन या पेपर बनाने का और उसको that's declare as a own publication. That's the remix copy paste of the owners, which is also one of the type of plagiarism. And last but not the least, it's also the very well known type of plagiarism, because one author is publishing its own ideas, anything in any publication, journal, or any book form, and using that same concept in the second publication or second presentation as it is, because they thought these ideas are our own ideas, these concepts are our own concept, but you are publishing twice. You are repeating the publication. That's why it become a plagiarism. Because there may be the issue of copyright. Because on the side of public publisher, so there should be self citations also. Then mixes copies material from multiple sources. That is the type of mashup plagiarism. Hybrid plagiarism combines perfectly cited sources with copied passages without citation. Next one is citation of non-existence or inaccurate information about sources. सोर्स जो साइट करते हैं वो साइट एक्नॉलेज करते हैं, जो साइट करते हैं प्रॉपर अगर दिया नहीं गया तो वो भी प्लेगरिज्म हो सकता है. क्यों? क्योंकि जब आप एक्नॉलेज करते हैं, वी आर गोइंग टू एक्नॉलेज और साइट द डॉक्यूमेंट, वी आर गिविंग द पाथ टू द रिसर्चर टू गो to the original source of information. But if you are going to cite the information if you are going to acknowledge the information but not giving the bibliographical details in perfect manner, then that may be become as a part of plagiarism, type of plagiarism. Next one includes proper citation of sources, but the paper contains almost no original work. Aggregator. And last one, the retweet includes proper citation, but relies too closely on the text original writing. These are some type of plagiarisms are there. सेल्फ प्लेगरिज्म ये जो रहता है, मैं अब भी जो बोला कि कॉपिंग मटेरियल यू हैव प्रीवियसली प्रोड्यूस्ड and passing it as it is in the new production. That's the self-plagiarism. The writer often maintain that because the authors, they can reuse the material. If you are going to reuse your own material, you have to cite your own material also as a it has been published anywhere, you are acknowledging the same. We call it as self citation. If you are not quoting the self citation, you are not going to acknowledge to self, then it becomes a self plagiarism. Intentional, unintentional plagiarisms are also there. बोले तो इंटेंशन नहीं रहता है कि आपको एक कॉपी करना है या प्लेगराइज करना है, लेकिन हो जाता है टेकिंग द आइडियाज ऑफ अदर राइटर्स एंड मिक्सिंग दैट टुगेदर, ऑल दिस टाइप। आपको ऐसा नहीं करना है, प्लेगराइज करना नहीं है, किसका चुराना नहीं है, लेकिन अपने से हो जाता है, कैजुअली अप्रोच से हो जाता है, यू आर नॉट गोइंग साइट प्रॉपरली, नॉट कोटिंग प्रॉपरली, देन it become unintentional plagiarism. कहाँ पे होते हैं मेजर केसेस ऑफ प्लेगरिज्म? मेजर केसेस होते हैं डिसर्टेशन में, प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट्स में, थीसिस में, बुक्स आर्टिकल पब्लिकेशंस, पेपर पब्लिकेशन। Copying the idea is always not plagiarism if it is done as per rules. As per rule क्या है? रूल ये है कि प्लेगराइज करना नहीं है तो साइट करो. We can take the material or you can take the ideas or we can take the facts of others, but you are quoting or acknowledging the original or main author or ideas by whom the ideas are conveyed in the in publication form or any else. We have to acknowledge or cite the person, then that become a ethical approach. One statement I have given, internet is not responsible for it. It is a tool to detect it. मीन आप जो है अपने प्रोफेशन में आईसीटी का यू आर यूजिंग आईसीटी लाइक एनीथिंग, उसका यूज अच्छी कारण को करना है या फिर चुराने के लिए करना है, आपका औरा रहता। उसमें क्या है, इंटरनेट नॉट रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर इट। इंटरनेट में सब कुछ है, लेकिन इंटरनेट क्या बोलता कि किसी के आइडिया आप चुरा लो, नहीं। इंटरनेट इज गिविंग द एक्सेस टू द इंफॉर्मेशन, बट यू आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल हाउ टू यूज इट इथिकली, morally, or misuse of that information is depend upon you. सब अगर रिसर्चर को ये सब कुछ मालूम है तो भी प्लेगरिज्म क्यों होता है? तो टाइम बाउंड रहता है, ये इतने दिन में इतना काम करने का है तो लोग कॉपी करते। और एक बात रहती है, जल्दी जाना है, जल्दी पीएचडी करेंगे, जल्दी जॉब मिल जाएगा, ये प्रेशर रहता, अभ्यास का प्रेशर रहता, कुछ आदतें अच्छी नहीं रहती, ये भी कारण है। दिस इज ऑल्सो द रीजन ऑफ प्लेगरिज्म। दिस इज द कल्चर ऑफ कट एंड पेस्ट। नाउ no one is going to the library and searching the information or doing the study. All of us go to the Google, वो है ना, Google सब कुछ देता है, but Google give you all, but library give you what you want. So कट पेस्ट नहीं करना, कट पेस्ट का जमाना है, ये भी तो रीजन ऑफ प्लेगरिज्म है। English as the international language, reason of plagiarism. Lack of understanding seriousness of plagiarism is a reason of plagiarism. Lack of strict academic discipline is a reason of plagiarism. Carelessness, casual approach is also a reason of plagiarism. And a lack of referencing skill. सही है, when you are going to do the research, we have to know one less. Now there is like this, there is a provision of induction programs. You should teach them as how to cite the document and how to reference, how to acknowledge the document. Why should not you do the plagiarism? Why plagiarism is bad? Because it's not ethical, it's not according to the academic norms, it's a theft, it's a stolen of the idea, it's a fraud. Of course plagiarism is cheating, and plagiarize the document is to cheat their fellow students also. And plagiarism reflects incompetence. That's why plagiarism is bad, because it's a fraud. You are, चोरी तो चोरी होती है, इसको आप कैसे बोलेंगे कि it's good? It's bad. Then if it's bad, then what is the ethical approach? An ethical writer always acknowledge the contributors. क्या करना है आपको? What do you want to take the information or the ideas, facts from any other documents or published, unpublished document? We have to acknowledge, then it become the ethical. Whether the paragraph, summary, whatever, as ethical approach क्या है कि acknowledge करना, acknowledge करने से वो जो plagiarize नहीं रहता, वो तो we are giving the credit to the authors, we are giving the credit of original ones who have put it information in front of you. So authors who submit the manuscript of publication containing previously published, then there must be clearly indicate to the editors and readers the nature of previous dissemination. आजकल क्या हो रहा कि before publishing the thesis or before submitting the thesis as a research work, our researchers are going to publish the some papers on the on that thesis database, is it? Means the information collected to present or to report the thesis, that information, some amount of information we are going to publish. But at that time, you should clear that this information have been.
खूप शुभेच्छा. दिवस कसे चाललेत समजत नाही. म्हणजे 31 ला आपण NMMC ला गेलो होतो, न्यू इयरचा फायरवर्क लाइटिंग वगैरे बघायला. त्याच्यानंतर अयोध्या श्रीराम प्राण प्रतिष्ठा ही आपल्याला बघायला मिळाला.
Roll
आणि
number
आता
45, madam.
म्हणजेच
Huh?
Please
प्रजासत्ताक
mute your
दिन
mic.
I am not here. It's other side. Your sides, madam. It's for
Yes, yes,
your
roll number 45. Please mute your mic.
Actually, this is the lacuna in the this type of communication. That's why we are thinking about the NAP to use the number of ICTs, but teaching learning should be in classroom. Some evidences are like this. You are not taken so seriously for anyhow. You should take care of that. Others should not get disturbed, is it? While there is some situations where text recycle takes place, means when you are publishing your textbook and after some days or after some years the syllabus has been changed, some amount of syllabus is same and some is changed, then you can take that portion of that amount of information in your new textbook. But when it become ethical, when you you should acknowledge the same and you should told to the publisher that I am using recycling information. I have been published this text before this, and I'm quoting that percentage of information that have been published, but I'm recycling this information. Means clear cut होना, clear cut information आप अगर दे देंगे तो no issue. There is the ethical approach. In the domain of conferences and similar audiovisual presentations of the work, author should practice the same principle of transparency with the audiences. Same, we have presented the paper and same paper have been published in the journal. It's not an ethical approach. You should stick up. If you have published, you should acknowledge in the presentation that I have been published this paper in this. I'm going to put or present before you. Is it? because some instances of plagiarism, self-plagiarism, and even some writing practices that might be otherwise too acceptable can constitute copyright infringement. Authors are strongly encouraged to become familiar with basic elements of copyright law. This is the ethical copy. कायदे तो बनते हैं, laws are there, but how we execute or how you respond for that laws, it's the ethical approach. Authors are strongly urged to double check their citations. Significantly, authors should always ensure that each reference notation appearing in the body of the manuscript corresponds to the correct citation listed in the reference section. Means we have to check up bibliography, we have to check up the references, we have to check up number of times. Either you have acknowledged the subsequent information or not. That is the ethical approach. That is the ethical approach. then the reference, same. The concept is same. References used in a paper should only be those that are directly related to the content. देखो अब I index, H index, what depends it on the citations of your work, is it? अब आज का जमाना का क्या है, आपके साइटेशंस कितने हैं, स्कॉलर गूगल स्कॉलर पे अब है क्या, अपने पेपर्स आपके जो पेपर्स है कितने, किसने देखे क्या, किसने पढ़े क्या, आपका रिसर्च वर्क जो है वो लोग यूज करते हैं क्या, ये जो देखने का मैट्रिक्स है वो है आई इंडेक्स, एच इंडेक्स। एंड जर्नल का भी वही है हाल कि आपने जो पब्लिश किया उसका साइटेशन कितना है, उससे उसका इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर हो जाता है कि कितना इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर का जर्नल है। एक्चुअली दिस इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर, एच इंडेक्स, आई इंडेक्स डिपेंड्स अपॉन द साइटेशंस of that particular material, and that's why the references are made whether the information is not incorporated in the work. समझ में आया क्या कि आप जो पब्लिश कर रहे हैं उसमें उसका कुछ रेफरेंस ही नहीं, लेकिन we are going to acknowledge. Why? Because we are the friends to whom we are going to acknowledge. We are the teacher and students to whom we are going to acknowledge. To increase their H index, to increase their I index, publisher of the journal is your friend. So you are going to acknowledge or cite anywhere in your publications that particular journal. This is also not an ethical approach. If only there is a need of particular document, then and then only you can use and acknowledge that document. That's only an ethical approach. Authorship determination should be discussed prior to commencing the research collaboration. Only those individuals who have made contributions to a project merit authorship in a paper, that only you should acknowledge. There is no need to increase their I index, H index and peer reviewed journals impact factor of their journals. There should not be the acknowledgement as that of the original work, is it? These are some ethical approaches. Number of ethical approaches, only I will underline the same. If you are going to acknowledge the original work, then that is the ethical work. अब जो बोलेंगे कि ये सही नहीं है, अपन को लगता है, we are researcher, आपको लगता है कि it's not good, that's the ethical approach. आपको लगता है it's not fair, that's the anti plagiarism and anti ethical approach. What are the strategies for anti plagiarism? Some strategies I have given here. Why students or educator want to cheat? Why he or she willing to cheat? क्यों करना है कॉपी उसको? क्यों लगता है कि we should copy that material and present it as its own? That should be understood by the researcher or research guide or the institution and give the solution of that particular question. देन एंटी प्लेगरिज्म स्ट्रेटेजी में और एक बात है, एजुकेट देम अबाउट द प्लेगरिज्म. व्हाट इज प्लेगरिज्म? ये जो कर रहे हैं ये गलत है, इट्स नॉट फेयर. ये आप समझाना, इट्स द स्ट्रेटेजी फॉर एंटी प्लेगरिज्म. Tell them the benefits of citing sources. It's also the strategy of anti-plagiarism. Let them know about the penalties and consequences by citing the example. Teach them about how to detect the plagiarism. Teach them about how to avoid the plagiarism. Develop an institutional framework, institutional policies, plagiarism policies. Nowadays NAC is asking about the what are the strategies for your institutional strategies about the plagiarism. Is there any committee to check the plagiarism? Is there any research committee to check all this material before publishing? These are the strategies. And last but not the least, strengthen your library and information systems and integrated it with your research process. Librarians are best trained in dealing with such issues because the part and parcel of our syllabus is this type of how to cite, how to acknowledge, how we prevent the plagiarized documents. है सालों से चलता आ रहा है. व्हाट आर द कॉपीराइट एक्ट? कॉपीराइट एक्ट का आज का नहीं है, अब पहले से आपको मालूम है, लेकिन अब भी ये सामने क्यों आ रहा? क्योंकि nowadays research has been increased and there is a culture of copy paste. That's why there are some strategies about the anti plagiarism. Also there are some tips for good scholarly practices. Avoid copying, keep track of citations, write first draft without notes, when in doubt cite, and take advice are the few tips for scholarly practices. What are the consequences? Is plagiarism only an ethical issue? No, it is not. It is more than that. What if plagiarism is detected? Plagiarism, is it only ethical approach? Is it only moral approach? No, there are also the consequences more than the ethical issues. And what happens if the plagiarism is detected? ये गुनाह है, और जो गुनाह रहता है उसकी पनिशमेंट भी रहती है. What is the UGC Code of Professional Ethics 2018? इसमें 7th point जो लिखा है, discourage and not allow in plagiarism and other non-ethical behavior in teaching and research. UGC कोड में तो टीचर ने कैसे बिहेव करना वो भी लिखा है, टीचर्स कोड. लाइब्रेरियन ने क्या करना है वो भी लिखा है, लाइब्रेरियंस कोड. एंड इथिक्स, यूजीसी हैज गिवन द प्रोफेशनल इथिक्स आल्सो, और उसमें लिखा है कि क्या करना और क्या करना गलत है. Then how to control the plagiarism, how to curbing the plagiarism. Higher educational institution shall declare and implement the technological based mechanism There are number of softwares. We can that softwares can detect the plagiarism. For example, in our university, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, Urkun software is there. Cost of that is in lakhs, which detect the plagiarism, percentage of plagiarism, plagiarized documents, and give the report about that. तो आईसीटी का यूज भी करके हम उस पे कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं. द मैकेनिज्म जो है उस पे अंकुश लगा के कंट्रोल करके प्लेगैरिज्म रुकवा सकते हैं. एवरी स्टूडेंट सबमिटिंग अ थीसिस, द ड्राफ्ट ऑफ थीसिस, original work, before submitting the thesis, we have to check the plagiarism and get the certification of that particular university mechanism, which percent of your original work is, and what percent of plagiarism is that. There are number of levels. When levels of plagiarism, 10% का सिमिलरिटीज अगर दिखा उसमें, तो माइनर सिमिलरिटी समझ के हम छोड़ देते. नो पेनल्टी इज देयर. दैट वी कॉल इट जीरो लेवल. जीरो लेवल पर सिमिलरिटीज में लेस देन 10% minor similarities are there, then there is no penalty. In the level of first, similarities above 10%, 10% से लेकर 40% परसेंटेज तक similarities रहा, तो we shall call it as to withdraw the manuscript. आप publish नहीं करना वो. To withdraw the manuscript. अगर publish हो गया वो भी विड्रॉ करने का. ऑनलाइन पब्लिकेशन अगर रहा तो विड्रॉ करने का. सेकेंड लेवल में जो है सिमिलरिटी अबव 40% एंड अप टू 60%. अगर 40% से 60% रहा सिमिलरिटी, तो पेनल्टी क्या है? पेनल्टी यह है कि shall be asked to withdraw the manuscript, shall be denied a right to publish it, and shall be denied a right to one annual increment of that person. Seriously, एक इंक्रीमेंट आपका रुकवा सकते हैं. दूसरी बात, अगर आप सुपरवाइजर हो, रिसर्च सुपरवाइजर, तो आपका गाइडेंस उस shall not be allowed to supervise for any master degree, MPhil degree, PhD degree for a period of 2 years. अगर 40% से 60% रहा सिमिलरिटी, तो विड्रॉ करने का है तो है मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट. आपका एक इंक्रीमेंट भी रुकवा सकते हैं, और आप you shall not be allowed to be a supervisor for master degree, MPhil degree and doctorate degree for a period of 2 years. ये कहाँ का 40 to 60%. और लास्ट जो लेयर है, लेवल जो है, थर्ड लेवल डिग्री जो बोलते हैं ना, तो सिमिलैरिटीज अबव 60%. खूपच झालं ना हे. Above 60% means you are stolen all the document. Above 60%, what is the penalty? Penalty shall be asked to withdraw manuscript, first one. Second, shall be denied a right to successive annual increments. 2 increments आपके रुकवा सकते हैं. Shall not be allowed to be a supervisor for master degree, PhD degree, MPhil degree for 3 hours. सॉरी 3 years, ये उसका पेनाल्टीज है अबाउ 60% जो रहा तो. So we are the educators, we are the academicians, we are the researchers, we are the research supervisors. So we should take care of all these things. And lastly, how to prevent the plagiarism? Simply be honest. Avoiding plagiarism is quite simple. The best method for avoiding the simply be honest. And if you are going to use any source, then cite them, acknowledge them, acknowledge the author of original work that you have been used is the solution of plagiarism. I think your ideas have been clear about the plagiarism. Thank you very much for listening me very patiently, and thanks to the authorities, Director of Academic Staff College and Deputy Director of Academic Staff College for giving me an opportunity to share my views with such a learned audience today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, one thing I want to ask regarding plagiarism.
Yes.
Ma'am, one of my scholar, I know that she is copied. When I asked to remove this, then I don't know how she is done from net or whatsoever she has done. But after that, when I checked, that shows the 0% plagiarism. How is it possible? Is there any method to remove all? Is there is there any system in the net?
Madam, suppose you are publishing some work, and if you check the plagiarism on internet, if you check,
That
if
was
you check,
orphan only.
if you check on internet, and after that you are going to check by the authentic software, which is the policies decided by your own institution, that may be show the 100% plagiarism, because you have already given to check the plagiarism. Is it one point?
First time.
Another point is that some people, some students, what do they take the information as it is from the net or anything publications, and they changes the keywords, changes the phrases, they changes the sentences, and same idea put as it is, then there is some plagiarism. But you was as in your case, the student which shows the 100% or some amount of plagiarism, then after showing that plagiarism, student what do the practice, they changes the that also the there is a provision in software also which information is plagiarized. Which information that come in the red color. The student what do that phrases or that sentences, they changes in their own words, and minimize the amount of plagiarism. मीन्स क्या करते हैं मैडम कि उस पे जो दिखता है ना रेड कलर में कि दिस इज यू हैव बीन स्टोलन, तो वो अपने 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 हिसाब से चेंज कर देते और
चेंज करके तो 0% दिखाते हैं। उस केस में अब हम मतलब व्हाट टू आंसर, मतलब फर्स्ट टाइम इट वाज 100 और 80 और 90%, right?
हाँ.
और जब हम उनको बोले just remove this all you have copied, then after some few days they show me again, see ma'am, it is of 0%. I didn't copy it, but she has done something. What can we, when she is showing the result of 0%, then what to answer that I don't know.
हाँ,
हम अपने आप को कैसे सेव करें उस चीज से? आई नो दैट शी इज टेकन फ्रॉम समवेयर, तो उस चीज को कैसे उस प्रॉब्लम को कैसे सॉल्व किया जा सकता है? दैट यू प्लीज रिप्लाई.
हाँ मैडम, which information is that? Is it the review of literature or it's the primary data?
That was paper only, research paper.
Theoretical.
हाँ हाँ.
थियोरटिकल मीन्स उन्होंने क्या किया कि उन्होंने वो पूरा चेंज किया होगा पूरा.
हाँ, मुझे लगता है कुछ नेट में ऐसा कुछ है इंटरनेट से कि वो कुछ करते हैं ऐसा कुछ कीवर्ड्स एज आपने बताया.
हाँ, तो
या फिर
कीवर्ड्स
कुछ
चेंज
डेटा वो
करके
क्या करते हैं मैम, समटाइम्स व्हाट दे डू कि अगर मान लीजिए डेटा 20 30 40, they just take 20 point something and 30 point something so that it change the data.
यस मैम. और दूसरी बात, अगर आपने
इससे
इंटरनेट पे
मैम
से
हम लोग
चेक करा,
कैसे बचे? We are the supervisor. How can we save ourselves? I know that they have done something. And they are showing me zero plagiarism. Even ma'am, thesis में भी last में हम लोग we attach the report. That is 0%. Just वो अपनी सफाई देने के लिए बोलती मैम इट्स 0%. What can we do? It is not mean story.
as a supervisor, madam, don't tell them to write the theoretical papers, ma'am. You should go through the research paper only. There is no प्लेजरिज्म का कुछ आता ही नहीं, क्योंकि आपका हमारा डेटा खुद का रहता है, उसके ऊपर आप रिसर्च कर रहे हैं. ये थियोरेटिकल क्या रहता है, इसमें से उसमें से कॉपी पेस्ट का जमाना है, लेते हैं और करते कुछ भी करते हैं इंटरनेट का. लेकिन एज अ सुपरवाइजर मी बोले तो मैं क्या करूंगी, मैं बोलूंगी भाई थियोरेटिकल पेपर को प्रेफरेंस मत दो. You do your own research work and then only you publish.
Although that's why you have told that your primary data is mandatory.
It's mandatory. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. All of you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you,
Very
madam.
important point
Thank you,
madam
sir.
said.
Thank you, ma'am.
The topic how to research report writing provided useful information and discuss research report writing in title, objectives, problems, hypothesis, sample, data collection, analysis, limitation, summary, and collection, etc. Thank you very much for that change, madam. And thank you very much for listening to us all in peace. Heartfelt thanks to HRDC, BAMU director, host, co-host, organizer, and others present. Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Should I leave?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.